Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody, welcome. Just to read this before we start, this meeting of May 13th is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20. The chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Seeing nobody, we will move on. This recording is going to be replayed on Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel, live video, on-demand archives of the Town of Barnstable's website. Thank you. Okay, welcome again. We'll start with, first of all, before I do anything else, I want to just welcome Rich officially. No stranger to the Sandy Neck board. He comes and goes, you know, and but obviously a wealth of knowledge about Sandy Neck. Not only a knowledge of it, but a love of it, and we're glad to have him back. So, welcome. So we'll start with roll call. Maureen, you want to start it off?
Maureen Piccioni.
Bill Carey.
Rich French.
Renee King.
Bill Monroe.
Pete Sampu.
Nina Coleman, Park Manager.
Donna Bragg.
And Tom O'Neill. Thanks, everybody. So, first thing we'll do is act on the minutes of April 8th, I believe it was. Anybody have any comments about the minutes? Questions, suggestions?
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Motion carried. Minutes are
I could
approved.
abstain for that. Was I here for that?
No.
You can still vote on the
I
minutes.
wasn't. I didn't think so. Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. Notice for the chair, just a couple things real quick. Mentioned Rich. There's two of us that have term expirations coming up in June. Maureen and myself. I don't know where you are, and have you?
I have not gotten anything from Cindy, and I went to I actually don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I wouldn't wait if I were you.
Okay.
I would
Reach out
get
to
get the application, get your whatever information you want to provide, and I would send that to her ASAP.
Okay.
She is supposed to they are supposed to contact you.
I got the email from you on that, but then I did go on the website.
She told me it would be
just to
early
see.
May, and so it's possible they're a little delayed, but I wouldn't wait.
Okay.
You jump on that.
Yeah, Rich.
I'm actually up in June also.
Yeah,
I'm just
I know, I
filling
saw
a
that.
vacancy.
Yeah, but they've agreed, I think, to just reappoint you automatically without going through because of the timing. So.
You fill out the paperwork, Rich.
Yeah,
I don't leave anything to chance.
I would absolutely agree with that, Rich, given what happened last time. So, I had mine in 3 weeks ago. So, hey, Chris, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, so I would get that information in as soon as possible. I haven't yet. I set mine in quite a while ago, and I did speak to Cindy, and I haven't seen anything yet in terms of interviews. So, but you will be interviewed again, and by the appointments committee, and then they make a decision as to whether you get reappointed or not. So,
Okay. I'll get on that.
okay, that was it. Just correspondence. Anybody? So just correspondence outbound. One thing we did since last meeting, as you know, we're working on funding for the project, and so there was a request for funding put into the Municipal Vulnerability MVM, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Group grant program. So I did, as a representative of Sandy Neck Board, send in a letter of support for that funding. Looks very similar in a lot of respects to the letter we sent in to in the past, and also got a letter from the CEO of New England Wildlife, who of course has Cape Wildlife Center on the Cape and works quite a bit with Sandy Neck on animal rescues and stuff. They also were able to. We asked them to write a letter, and they did that. So, a couple of letters of support. I haven't heard anything since then as to what the status of the funding is. We can talk about that later, but. Okay, that was it. So we'll move on to staff report.
Yes, thank you. Oh, there it is. All right, a very short staff report. Slideshow. Here we go. All right, so just to remind everybody, we are now in summer hours, which started on May 1st. We are getting some staff dribbling back from colleges, which is very welcome. We're having some trouble covering the spread now that we're open, basically 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So the gatehouse hours are 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. The ORV Beach is in its summer curfew, which is 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and campfires are allowed. We're also selling campfire permits for the public beach, so there's that opportunity, weather permitting. And just to remind everybody, speed limit on the off-road beach is 5 miles an hour. It's very challenging when the beach is open in its entirety. I was out there today and had to tell a lot of people to slow down, and they were all lovely about it. They're like, whoops, I'm just having so much fun. I get rolling down the beach. You know, it's such a long beach right now, but really important that we stay slow because our piping plovers are very busy, getting busy, and getting to know each other, and they're in the trail, and we've had a number of plover strikes in past years in early summer. So we need to, they stay on the ground when they're breeding and nesting. They're just sort of skittering around, so it's really important we go slow. And also the portable toilets are now on the beach, so a lot of people are very pleased to see that.
I have a question about the keeping folks slow. Would signage help so that folks would have a more compassionate heart? I think we all are speeding about, but when you think of
Speeding, yeah.
what speeding causes to the wildlife, maybe that would keep them in a mindful state.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and I like how you're connecting that with the plovers. We do have 5 mile an hour signs all up and down the beach, and we also have a speed sign, which we were able to calibrate to 5 miles an hour, so it's similar to the one that you would see on the road that flashes blue at you. So people go very slow past that, and then they start cooking as they get going. But I like your idea of connecting it to the wildlife. When we have a short beach and there's a lot of people are reminding each other, because it's also human safety. It's quite a bit of that, so that we have more eyes on the beach, reminding people to go slow. So thank you for that. All right. Why are we not changing? We're going to go here. All right, we got a bunch of up-and-coming events. We have a flora and fauna hike this Wednesday, I believe, is the 15th. 15th is also no dogs on certain beaches in the town of Barnstable. So those of you that have a dog, keep that in mind. We have a flora and fauna hike from 10 to noon. We participate in the spring walking weekend with the town of Barnstable. So we have a hike on the 18th, which is probably a weekend. So off the top of my head, that looks like it would be a weekend day. And the public terrapin release. So we have a lot of terrapin releases going on right now, but we always want to provide a public one for those people whose school maybe isn't participating, but their child is very interested, or there's an adult that's very interested. So we have that public release at 4 p.m. on June 7th. And then Donna did ORV 101 for beginners, women only. We have another one coming up for all people, but Donna, maybe you could report on how well that went.
It went super. It really did. Really good questions. The ladies learned a lot. We took them down the access trail, and they practiced airing down their vehicles and airing them back up. They had really good questions, and at the end of it, it was about almost 2 hours, we asked, did you learn anything? Is there anything that we left out and you wanted to learn? And they were like, super. Nope, everything was great. So everybody who participated got a certificate, and they really did. They learned a lot about their equipment. You know, we went over, simple things like, you're going to air your tires down. Do you know what you're going to air them back up to? Very important to know. Do you know where you find that information in your vehicle? So we did. We showed them all right on the door and everything. They were hands-on, had fun. It was great.
How many people?
We had 9, which was good. Yep. It was cold. We had 9 people. Yeah.
Great. Good job.
And so I just want to report briefly on plovers. It's not really that time of year where I'm going to provide a visual yet. Our plovers are just starting to nest. So to remind everybody, we had 50 nests last year, and so far this year we've already have 25. But there's still 25 more to go, presumably, so I don't want to provide you an overview of where those nests are, because it really doesn't mean anything yet. But I will say the plovers are kind of everywhere. There's big sections of beach that are heavily eroded, so you really can't have a nest where the tide is coming right up to the dune, and they know that. So those areas, that's kind of pushing plovers to be kind of on top of each other in these other good habitat areas. We're also being very cognizant that that might be pushing them into the dunes as well. So we're keeping an eye on that. Hi. Sorry. And then the HCP, which is heavily flagged. Everybody should come and check it out. I don't know if you've seen it yet this year, but it's heavily flagged. We have had plovers in there, but just feeding. We haven't had any nesting activities, no scrapes, really nothing that's concerned me. Just some birds poking around and having some feeding opportunities when we have like bugs emerge from the sand. So, so far, so good with the HCP. Our first nest is right around 0.5 miles. So as I always say, like 0 to 0 real quickly for those of us that are in the plover business. So we're doing our best. We're raking once or twice a day. Flags everywhere this year. American flags, we got some of those flying around in there. We've got a whole array of deterrent measures. So trying to do some outreach with that as well to really educate people. There's some signage out there, and then Hannah did a newsletter that explained the HCP as well. So things are going really well with regard to plovers, but again, can go wrong very quickly. But I'll certainly by next meeting be able to provide an overview of where our nests are.
So the 50 that you had last year, that was a record, right?
Yep. So 50 last year was a record, and the year before was high 40s, and that was a record.
Yeah.
So 2 years in a row, record.
It'll be unusual to get a third record.
Plovers are doing well. This is actually, if you Google that, you'll see there's a whole article. I can't remember what publication did it, but Mass Audubon was interviewed, and we're seeing our plover populations not booming. I don't expect them to come off the list, but there's this increase in plovers, and so there's more conflict. We're seeing plovers at public beaches. We're seeing more plovers at off-road vehicle beaches. So it's kind of pushing all of these topics.
Interesting.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Nita. In terms of old business, I'll come back to this in a second, but I'll go to you, Bill, first. Public outreach, anything you want to talk about? I just saw the
Nothing
nest is
fresh.
up.
We've got a couple of scouts that are thinking about inquiring about projects, but nothing concrete at the moment.
I see the nest is up, and I don't see anything in it yet. But it's up and ready to go, I guess.
Yeah, it's been up for, 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job.
I think he's got another component of that, an educational sign that
Yes,
they're still
correct.
working on.
Yep.
But that'll go in up near the overlook, I think.
Yeah.
The plan for it.
Right. When it comes to completion, then he's going to come and do a presentation for the board.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, the nest looks great. I just don't know how to coax them over there.
Well, there's still 4 of them fighting over the one that's in the marsh there, so then maybe
We
they'll...
lost that nest.
Oh, really?
Yes, we lost that nest. We did have osprey at the gatehouse that sitting on eggs, and I mean heavily sitting on
Yeah.
eggs, and then all of a sudden done. But they are getting busy again, so hopefully we'll do the second clutch of eggs and maybe get some babies out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity at all the other nests going out, the marsh trail. The one at the, they're sitting all over the birdhouses around the halfway house. They're around.
Good. Well, once we get, I'll let you direct the timing, Bill, on that, but once you're ready, then we can get, have another discussion at the board, let them come in and get questions and talk about the final project and stuff, what he learned from it. And then what I'd like to do what we usually do, which is prepare a letter. I'll prepare a letter to send to him, thanking him for his work.
Very good.
Okay. I mean, in terms of number 1 and number 4, the project, do you have anything, Pete, you want to talk about that's like outside the project issue? Because I can just update on that. But.
Probably not, except that I did hear from someone walking in that cleaned. So I had a bunch of students out there before the April meeting, but I didn't make the April meeting. And we spent quite a bit of effort cleaning it. I fixed the seal on the wood stove, so that's working well. We cleaned a whole bunch of grass that had come all the way up to the doorstep, but it didn't get inside, so that was lucky on a March or February really high tide we had. But there was an AmeriCorps group that went out. I talked to someone about that. Yes, I think in this group here, and they were just tickled with it. So, yep, it's good to go. There's screens in the windows, so and then a series of windows and the front door, so you get cross ventilation. It's ready to be used.
Good. Is there that goes, just remind me of the scheduling of that kind of utilization. Is that through you guys in the office typically?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. And you have to be a 501c3. AmeriCorps did spend the night out there before a service project that they did for us last Friday. So yeah, I would reach out to Donna if organizations are interested in having an outing.
Okay, good.
The organization did, I think, on the 5th of May as well. That was, I think I went out there that week and make sure the mousetraps were all cleaned up.
That was the art
Okay, yes.
group, and
yes.
they ended up, it was too cold, and they did not go up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is a shame. That was going to be the first overnight for them in several years.
Okay.
But they have a lot of outings scheduled for the summer, so.
Okay, good.
Hopefully.
But having the screens is going to be vitally important for
Oh, gosh,
summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I checked the building last Saturday, and it looks like you could walk in and nice and clean, and no reminders of rodents or anything like that. And underneath, they had dug up, and you guys had screened off the underneath.
Yes, yeah.
For the raccoons. No evidence of any problems with that right now. So
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Pete, to your
ready to rock.
team.
Him too.
And Bill.
Can you briefly describe an outing for me, please?
Sure. I've been chaperoning a series of school trips out there for, well, probably upwards to over a decade. And I take groups of students out there with another teacher, and we stay out overnight. We talk about some of the science of the marsh and the dunes. We are there often in cold time, so that stove in there is fired hot. So when we were out there last, it was raining like crazy. It was cold, and everyone went out but me, and I had to make sure that fire was nice and warm when they got back in.
Everyone has their jobs, Pete.
Yep.
Everyone has their-
Yep. And we cooked chili on the stove. That worked out pretty fine.
Are there other schools that do the same thing?
No, there aren't.
Why is that? Is that just because you're more
they need
familiar?
a teacher that's willing to put that extra effort in.
Yeah. This goes back a little bit to what we were talking about a meeting or two ago about trying to broaden the
Yeah.
utilization of the beach to more kids.
I mean,
in the
Barnstable
town.
High used to be, back in the early 2000s when I first came to the Cape. They were the big players out there. Yeah.
I shingled that roof and got extra credit on my Ecology 2 class in 1970, whatever it was.
But the real remake of it was something that Rich organized back in the early 2000s. That was the big job.
Do you have a set of peers or colleagues across the town at all? Is there any sort of local science community across the various schools, or is it, they tend to be very...
Not that I've got connections with.
Well, 501c3, I mean, that's, scout units are,
Yeah.
any, Audubon, any of those, there are imminent organizations, nonprofits that could run a program out there.
About the Barnstable Youth Commission, I know that they are definitely working on environmental types of things in their water project.
Yep.
And
It's a fantastic experience for young people. It's wilderness out there. There's only battery-operated lights, and it's real cozy.
I guess maybe we should all give a little bit of thought as to how we might be able to expand that.
I would also say maybe taking your experience and putting it into some type of a condensed social media kind of thing so people are aware of it. I will also say that the mental health of our youth
Yep.
and the need to have youth disconnected and really out.
I forbid cell phone use when I go out there.
I mean, I really think that those are the kind of things that might attract some of the other organizations. And I think, I will definitely bring it up to the youth, Barnstable Youth Commission. They report at the recreation meeting every month. We were out in the field this last month, but in June, I'll put that on the agenda.
There's a climate ambassador program that's being, I think, hosted across the Cape, but it's mostly out. I mean, it's centered out of Barnstable High. At least it was last year, and I've got some of my students in that. I'll actually reach out to them to try to spread the word.
Yeah,
You always
because
worry about capabilities in places like that,
The
you know,
Barnstable
that-
Youth Commission has Sturgis and Barnstable, which is a nice mix.
Yeah.
So let's see if they might be interested.
Well, why don't we give some thought to that? Maybe next meeting we can put it on the agenda and see if any of us have any good ideas and contacts networking we could do to maybe start to expand that a bit. As I mentioned, maybe capabilities. There's a number of organizations on the Cape that deal with disabled people, and in addition to just the general school population. So it's a shame if is that the only school that tends to do that, Nina or Donna? Is that?
The Barnstable High sends children out. Their artists go out there, and their
Right.
art classes and stuff, and they do a day trip. They don't go overnight. And again, I agree with Pete that you need to have chaperones, and that seems to be probably the clutch thing.
That's the stick.
And you also have the challenge, depending on the group and how the group is organized, if you are going to do overnight, do you have separatable, quarters, usually one end versus the other end for male, female?
Yeah.
So that can become a challenge.
Well, maybe first step is just to get them out there to see it for the day, and then they can
Day
decide
programs
if
are
it's.
fine. I mean, scout groups tend to be either male or female, so that's not as big an issue. But scout groups have traditionally not used. They traditionally use the camp sites.
So they're properly camping.
Right. Well, we have a lot of scout units, not only the local ones, but off Cape that come, and they're coming with 30 people, 25, taking up the whole campgrounds, So I mean, that's really a small. That's a 6 to 10 person
Tops.
facility, particularly if you're staying overnight. But it would be great for daytime educational programs, particularly at this time of the year when at least someplace to get in and get out of the chill and all that. We had talked with Hannah a while back about running the Environmental Science Merit Badge for the Scout units and those that are interested in an Eagle Scout. It's a required merit badge. So that would be perfect because part of doing that achievement is to spend observation hours. So you go and you'd base, same thing we used to do in ecology class. You'd go in and you'd set up, what's the area that I'm observing? What am I likely to see? You go out, you keep your field notes, you make your observations, you come back, you catalog it. You journal it and you go on. So
Yeah, this is the perfect time with all the wildlife that's out there right now. Besides the ospreys and all the different birds and everything. Actually, we have a new staff member today that got a chance to go out. We always take our new staff members out and say, this is what the beach is all about. She got to see a magnificent coyote this morning. So, that's a great idea. It'd be wonderful to have those folks there.
This is a stupid question, but I'm sure. But we're always dealing with Eagle Scout projects. Are there Girl Scout equivalents of that?
the Girl Scout program, they certainly do service time. The Girls Gold Award has a similar component to it. I don't think it's as extensive as the BSA side, but the Girl Scout programs, to my knowledge, in the town of Barnstable, there's a couple of very small units going on, so it's not a real strong program as far as I know right now. It's certainly they certainly do need and do service work in the community. So,
And there is still an active 4-H club.
4-H is
because they,
fantastic.
they're at the county fair, and they've had a few things at the Centerville Recreation. So they're out there. I think that everyone's kind of coming out of getting back to our full normalcy, and this is just one outing.
Yeah, the 4-H would be actually particularly, there's a lot of 4-H programs that could run out of there.
I mean, there's two benefits I can see. Obviously, the educational side of it is, but also the potential that they would return help to Sandy Neck, like the Boy Scouts do and the AmeriCorps does and stuff. So the more of these organizations you can engage, the more likelihood you get us getting people that are giving back to Sandy Neck as opposed to just, but, I mean, maybe we can develop a list of some organizations that would be worth talking to, and I'm happy to make the contacts, maybe in conjunction with, Nina or Donna or Hannah, whatever you guys want to do, and see if we can get some uptake. Yeah, Rich?
Strangely enough, the Barnstable Historical Society is meeting a group of high school students at the old jail this Thursday. And the gentleman who runs it for the school got 30 students to take and come and look at it. Wow.
From Barnstable High? Is that Barnstable High?
Barnstable High School, right. So I will mention it to him that, hopefully, these folks that are interested in an old jail might be interested in something historic such as Sandy Neck.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I think we just put our hats on, thinking caps on a bit over the next month or so. Maybe we can talk about the next meeting as an agenda item, see if we can develop a list of maybe, 5 or 7
Does the group
places.
need to provide also a certificate of insurance?
That's
Yes,
correct.
That's one of
Would be, we set that criteria up and
Right.
sort of have a term sheet, so to speak, that we would give these organizations.
Right, and I imagine we already have that.
We do. It's on the website.
Yeah.
I was just looking for it, I couldn't find it. Like a use manual?
Is that policies? It's
Policies.
Halfway house on the left tab, near the bottom.
right.
We would do it.
The insurance policy is sort of standard. We've
Yeah.
looked around, and all of these agencies would have to have, I think it's $1 million policy, so it's not anything above and beyond.
Right, and they usually do that when folks rented the YMCA, they would
liability
have that, and there's, that's a one-shot. There's a few local places that give you that.
Yeah, they're very cheap. It's just the liability policy. It's just not, but I think if we would, rather than having them have to hunt through the website, we can provide a term sheet, which kind of just says, here's the deal, here's what you need, here's what you get, here's what how you do it. And we could market that basically
I love
to these
this.
different organizations. and try to
Anybody
get-
that has interest
I
and
think we
has
could
had
bring some
interest
pictures
before,
and everything.
when I email them back, I send
they're
all
so
that
Yeah,
information.
okay, so it's all ready.
So it's all very
Right,
plainly spelled out.
Perfect.
And that way they can see, first of all, if they qualify and understand, because we even have a part about it being very rustic, because it is. You're not going to go in there and cook a gourmet dinner or
Right.
anything like that unless you have chili. But yeah, we have enough information to send out to folks. All we need is some names and email, and we'll send it out.
Perhaps if you, since you have the most, either you or Bill have the most experience, if we do get someone interested, then we could maybe use one of you guys as a contact to liaise with them
I'd be up for that.
and give them
And I
kind
would
of
be
a-
willing to do a volunteer. So I think that the caring adult that's willing and used to working with youth, just to be there.
Well, I
think-
ain't going out with other groups, I can tell you that. No, I'll volunteer to come, but I spend enough time with young'uns.
I'm not going out there. That's okay.
No, that's fair, right? Fair enough.
Yeah, he just told me it's cutting into his fishing time. so
Yeah.
The last time Pete went
feel
out
ya.
there with a group of kids, he hit
You're
me in
a
the head with a
teacher, you get the
2x4. So I'm not sure that,
I don't remember that, but
Yeah.
I tried to knock some sense into you.
yeah,
obviously.
apparently it didn't work.
Statute of limitations up on that?
I don't know, we're building the lean-to. How long's that been there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say any, as your lawyer, I wouldn't say any more, Pete, if I were you. I'd just shut up. Okay, good. That's great. That's something we can work on.
I'm so.
For all the inquiries that you get, do they usually follow through, or are there reasons why they don't qualify or don't follow through? I'm wondering if there's
Right.
more marketing that we
Right.
could.
Well,
be
but
doing.
this is the mandate of the halfway house. It's very specific, that it has to be used for education, there's certain things. I mean, I've had plenty of people that want to go out and do a jam session out there or whatever, not things that would fit into what the criteria, they don't meet the criteria. And the other thing is, we've invited people to come out and take a look at it, and because you really have to see it to understand what it is all about and how beautiful it is out there. So we get a lot of feelers. Right now, we were just happy AmeriCorps stayed out there because they're going to spread some word.
Yeah, exactly.
This was a really good, opportunity for them to have a really nice time out in a great space like that. No, but we're going to be looking forward to hearing what you guys are going to come up with some ideas of how to market it a little bit
Okay,
more.
so I'm on there because when I looked at a recent website, it's Colorful Kids, and it is so refreshing. And do you know how they got that beautiful, very easy, intuitive website? She offered it to kids. And they did it, and you would never think that it wasn't done by a professional. I mean, it has everything. It has a picture, a little short video, not too long. I mean, it's just the colors. It's just perfect. This is their world, and I'm going to learn from that lesson because a website that I'm working on needs a lot of help. So,
I think you could also tie it in, to some extent with the notion of achievement. In other words, for example, you could have it set up so that if you got a group interested, maybe they make 2 or 3 trips out there just as day trips. And that kind of earns
That's what you
them,
should start with.
earns the opportunity maybe for an overnight. And by that time, you can kind of sense whether they want to do it, A, and B, whether it makes sense. But, you kind of make it sort of something to look forward to, something to work towards as a group, just as an idea. But I think we should, we need to utilize the facility fully. And I think we talked about this a little bit. We were talking about the reading and issues in schools and stuff. I mean, we need to make sure this stuff is accessible to lots of different people and parts of the town that don't always even know about these things happening, so.
When we schedule it, when it's all scheduled, staff provides transportation to and from. So, we put all the gear in the back of the truck and we get the folks out there and stuff. So we're looking forward to more visits from people, so.
Okay, well,
You got
anyone
it.
who might be listening from the public, if you have any ideas, let somebody in the board know. But also, next meeting, we'll have it on the agenda, and we'll see if we can come up with a few ideas to start simple, but just try to start marketing this a little bit better. Okay, thank you. Anything else on public? The project, there's really nothing unless you guys have something to say. Yeah.
Report
Why don't
section.
you take it from here then?
Yeah, so a couple of milestones have happened since our last meeting. We presented the project to the Conservation Commission, and it was incredible. It got closed in one night, which is kind of unheard of for a project of that size. And I think that's a big part of the outreach that we did and the thoughtfulness that we really put into the project. So the project has been closed, and the Conservation Commission is drafting orders of conditions. So that's a big step forward. We also submitted the Conservation Management Plan to Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program, and that's our next big hurdle. So there's a mitigation piece with regard to spadefoot toads, and so we have to work with Natural Heritage to find out what that mitigation is and get that Conservation Management Plan approved so that we can start doing sweeps for toads if we are going to be able to do this project this fall. So we're kind of trying to stay on track for construction this fall, knowing that there's a lot of things that could derail that, but sort of staying in that lane for phase 1. We also submitted a grant, as Tom mentioned, to an MVP grant. I think we landed close to 2.8 ask on that. And we did get a lot of letters of support. It was actually kind of a lovely experience. Bill wrote a letter of support. We've got letters of support from a number of teachers that we want to do outreach at a number of schools to meet the outreach portion of the project. We got letters from the Upper Cape, from the Barnstable High School. I mean, they were all over the board, and they were, and agencies such as Mass Audubon, Nature Conservancy. We got a letter of support from Representative Zaros, which was very heartfelt about his commitment to Sandy Neck. So it's really kind of one of those situations where we're drawing on all of the goodwill and the good vibes that Sandy Neck puts out into the world. So I think we had 11 or 12 letters of support, and we get credit for those for those letters. So I think it was a very solid submission. I know it's extremely competitive, but I'll certainly let you know. I mean, we just got it in, whatever that was.
24th, I think.
Yeah, so we're a ways away from hearing. So I wanted to give you those 3 updates. We're ticking along on the list. If we're saying on a fall construction date, we do have some things we need to do prior to that. So fingers crossed. If not, we can push it to the following year, obviously. But there's a lot of balls in the air right now. You know, we still have permits up in the air, and we still have a lot of funding up in the air. Those are big things.
Anything new on the archaeological survey part of it?
Thank you for saying that. Excellent news from that. We thought we had to do a second survey because they found these musket balls.
Yeah.
And it was determined that we don't. So
That's
we can
good.
check the archaeological box, but we still have the spadefoot toad, which is a really hard one to overcome. I mean, I think we can overcome it, but it's going to take a lot of work to meet the requirements, because we are technically doing, I'm sure you guys have heard these words before, where we are technically, it's technically a take of spadefoot toad, because we are building in land that's undeveloped. So that's a take of spadefoot toad habitat, and therefore there's a mitigation requirement, 2-to-1 mitigation requirement. And so that's a bit of a bar that we have to get over.
Well, it's good that the second phase of that study doesn't have to be done. That saves some time. So.
Yeah, it's one less thing, really.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the wind is at our back right now, I would say. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Too late. It's out there. But yes, anybody who wants to review the site, it's flagged. I have plans at the gatehouse, and I can show you on the plans where that flag is that correlates. So there's certainly an opportunity for that. And we flagged it for the Conservation Commission and also for the public. Our storyboard is constantly being updated, so if you go on our website, on the front of our page of our website is the project. You click on that, and it will get you more material than you can ever imagine that you'd want to know, including all the videotapes of all of the public hearings that we did on this topic.
Yeah. Good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it. We don't have any new business. Just kind of one more thing from the chair. I think this year is fee year, isn't it?
It is.
2024,
Later.
yeah.
So I guess just get your thinking caps a little bit on that, because I think, we talked about this before, but we see the need to continue to build competitiveness in our fee structure for no other reason than just to be competitive. But the other thing is, obviously, this is a critical component of being able to fund change at Sandy Neck, and particularly in this project. So, take a look at the fees, start to think about it a little bit. Obviously, her team will put together a proposal, but I think it's October, or she'll come fast given how summer's
Definitely
go.
fall.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think it's September, October.
Yep.
So, but just give some thought to it ahead of time so we can.
Oh, Donna's going to.
Discussion on fees will be September 9th.
There you go.
Yep.
So a few months away, but it's important for the reasons we talked about 2 years ago, which is when I think we made the last big change. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And but we want to keep that moving, so hopefully you guys will be able to do some more benchmarking to get kind of an update on where everybody else is beach-wise, and then we can talk about what we need to do to keep the funding appropriate for, paying for some of the stuff we want to do out there. So, because we still don't know what the funding pot is going to be from the public side, so obviously the extent that we can't get public funding, then the question is, what can we fund out of the enterprise account? And that's going to be the only other way probably the only other option we'd have to provide funding. So, okay. Any public comment from my esteemed friend Wendy? Come on and grab a mic.
Good evening, Wendy Paquette from Hyannis. First thing I want to say is I am so happy to see Rich French back on the board and to have a full board and all your seats are filled now. Let's hope it stays that way.
No happier than I am, I'll tell you.
Everybody get their paperwork in on time.
Yeah.
The main
Maureen-
thing I wanted
Maureen and
to
I.
do, on behalf of Mass Beach Buggy Association, I believe Nina and the staff, you got an invite to our get-together this weekend. I'm assuming nobody is going to be able to make it because the beach is opening.
This weekend's prom, so I'm very busy. But
I
thank you for the
understand that.
invite.
I understand
really
that.
appreciate I'm not sure about the other staff.
For those of you that don't understand, Mass Beach Buggy has 2 annual meetings a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. The one in the spring is what we call spring meet. Everybody camps at Scusset State Park in the parking lot. We sort of do it like an old-fashioned stagecoach run, that all the campers are in a circle and we have an inner circle that we run our events. We haven't had anybody from the staff in a long time, but I am also sending that invitation to anybody on the board who would like to go this Saturday. Our meeting starts at 2 p.m., and the honored guests are the first thing on the agenda, so you wouldn't have to stick around long. You're welcome to come at any time. At noontime, we're having a chili cook-off. If you wanted to partake in that, or if you just want to see what it's all about and talk to other people from the club, just let me know. You're all more than welcome to show up and be there, and it's going to be hopefully good weather. Again, 2 o'clock this Saturday at Scusset State Park in the parking lot by the flagpole in front of the beach house. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
And may I step out of my role and make a public announcement,
Sure.
please? So everyone, the environment is important for everyone. So on May the 25th, the Rotary Club of Hyannis is going to have Electronic Waste Day, and it will be at the intermediate school. And it is very important that at least your digital waste is destroyed properly, because the data, even though you delete it, is really not gone. So we have an organization that is certifying that your data is completely removed. So you get a certificate of data being cleared. It also takes away all the metals and things like that don't need to be put into our environment. It's something that the Rotary Club of Hyannis does every year. This year it will be on Saturday, the 25th, from 8:30 to 12:30, and a portion of the proceeds go back into the school to focus on environmental issues, and I'll leave a few of these. Yes.
Do they grind up, say,
So-
the old laptops?
So, yes, it will be grinded with a certification of that the data is cleared, and very often it has to be grinded for it to be gone. There's some other techniques to do it, like putting nails through it, but again, the data, when you delete it, it's still there. Hackers know how to get it. So it is shredded, and you get a certification that the data is gone. But this is also other, electronic things. But your computer digital data needs to be destroyed properly so the data doesn't get in the wrong hands.
I always wonder what they do with solid-state drives, because it's a very different animal than a typical hard disk. I'm not sure. That's a rhetorical question. I'm just wondering how they actually do it.
They're shredded. I mean, there
Yeah,
are lots
yeah.
of techniques, and I'll just tell a short story where I left an organization. The hard drive was given to the IT department. It was certified that it was clean. I then taught school. I had a lot of hardware, and kids are kids, and they go, "Mrs. King, we found some data." And I mean, really, they found the data. And so just layman's term, the pointer to the data is gone, but the data is there.
Still there.
And so you don't need to find a pointer. If you find data, you can figure out what it is.
plus
So
there's
you want
recovery
your
software.
data, your cell phone data, your laptop data, your stationary data to be certified, clear, and very often it's shredded. So we have an outside organization that works with us on that behalf.
Yeah, I mean, you have this recovery software you can buy. You run it through your computer, it'll pull up every lost file. It may or may not be recoverable, but it'll show the file generally.
Yes.
It's pretty
Thank you for
scary.
that.
Let them know that this can be found on your website.
Yes,
Okay,
it can be
team,
found on the Hyannis Rotary website.
Can we include that in the minutes, or is that outside the?
No, that's going to be included.
Okay,
That's
so we'll include it in the minutes, so it's available online.
Thank you.
The minutes will come out
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you
Right,
have,
yeah.
do you have
I
more
have
of those
copies,
posters?
yes.
Yeah, because I'll put one up in the gatehouse.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Some for anyone who wants one.
Okay, as Renee said, it's really nice to have the full team here for a change. So hopefully we'll have a good summer in terms of attendance. That's great. And thank you. But with that, I guess we'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Oh, Bill, sorry.
Just one thing. That article that you sent about Cutty Hunk,
Yeah,
that was a very interesting article.
yeah.
They're running parallel, it seems,
It's a-
with what we're trying to do.
And you can see going back to what Nina said about the competitive funding for these projects, it's a common issue. I go to Cutty Hook on my boat quite a bit, so I know the situation pretty well from being over there, and that Barges Beach there is really fragile. Yeah, but it's a common problem that so many beaches are dealing with, which is what makes getting funding, you really got to put your best foot forward. But I'll tell you, this project, I mean, I was on the line for the conservation hearing, and, they were very complimentary of the robustness of the proposal, of the amount of work that was done in detail behind it, the public meetings, how robust they were. It was hard to see anything there that you said, well, I wish I'd done more work on it. It was just really, so that's all you can do is put your best proposal forward, and then you're in the pot with the rest of the people looking for money,
That makes sure people.
They were also using the Woods Hole group, too.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, interesting. Okay, I guess a motion for adjournment would be appreciated.
Make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.